Okay. Hi, AR. I'm Mary-Jo Legrain. I'm an occupational therapy assistant student from Nashville State, and I'm just going to be explaining some of your fractures and lacerations that you had from your motor vehicle accident to you today, and I'm going to also tell you some of the precautions with that, and then we're going to talk about what to do for your next treatment session. Okay. So to begin, I'm going to begin from your lower extremities, like your legs. So first on your dominant side, which is your right side, correct?
Yes.
Right. So on your dominant side, you had your tibia fractured, which is like your shin bone. And then you also had your fibula fractured, which is out on the outside kind of your leg. And that's another bone. So your fibula and your tibula on your right leg are fractured.
Okay.
And then your humerus on your right arm is also fractured, which is this upper arm bone.
Okay.
And then your collarbone on your non-dominant side, so this collarbone side over here, is also fractured.
Okay.
So you've got 4 fractures total.
Right.
And then as far as lacerations, which are just deep wounds and cuts, you have some on your face, you have some on your hands, you have some on your trunk, and some on your knees.
Okay.
And and so what they did let's start with this non-dominant side. What they did to correct your broken collarbone was they did what's called a closed reduction, which is when they fix it without cutting open to get to the bone. They can just fix it by like putting it in place without cutting you open, if that makes sense. So to do that, they really just reset it as best, as it needed, and then put you in an arm sling. So now your non-dominant side is in an arm sling.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the precautions with that shortly. And then with your humerus on your dominant side, they did what's called an open reduction, which is when they cut it open to access the bone and reset the bone, and then they close it back up. Okay. And what they also did for that one is called an external fixation. Okay. Which is basically an outward machine skeleton-like thing. And so what they did is they have this metal contraption around the bone that has pins sticking into solid bone so that it gets held in place for all the fractured bones to then heal properly. Okay. Yep. And so then with your leg, your tibia, they also did an open reduction. So just like this one, they opened it up, reset the bones, and added an external fixator. Okay. So you also have a metal contraption with pins holding that in place so it heals properly. Great. But then with the fibula, they did a closed reduction procedure, which is where, it's much like your collarbone. Okay. So they didn't have to cut it open, and you don't have external fixators for that one. They just reset it in place. Okay. Okay. So do you have any questions about that so far?
No, that's clear. That's clear to me. Yeah.
Good. And then as far as your lacerations, just make sure that we are cleaning those regularly, putting ointment on them and bandages so that they don't get infected. Okay. And then as far as precautions go, on your dominant side with your arm and your leg, you have a precaution that the doctor said called non-weight bearing. Okay. Do you know what that means?
Just not lifting anything?
Yeah, so not lifting anything, but also not putting any weight on that side at all. Okay. So what that's going to look like is with your non-dominant side is we're going to work on teaching you how to stand up without needing without needing to put any weight on that leg. Oh, okay. So you can't put any weight on it, and you can't put any weight on that arm either. Okay. So you can't rest like this. Okay. And then with your arm sling, you also can't really rest on it because we don't want that collarbone getting shoved up or moving. Yeah. But
I can see that.
But what we can do is both of your elbows can bend. Okay. They're gonna need to stay in a position like this. So like this, so you can reach your mouth.
Okay.
So we know you can do that,
All right.
right? With both arms. And you can go up to a certain amount of degrees out. But really what we're going to need to do a lot of the time is keep your arms just like this.
Okay.
And we're not going to want to move this upper arm section because this one's fractured and has the external fixators. And then this collarbone we're not going to want to move out of place.
Okay.
And you have a shoulder sling, and so that'll help you because you can just rest your arm in that shoulder sling.
That's good. Yeah.
And sometimes they can be irritating, but we can, in our next session, kind of talk about how to adjust them so that they're not as like irritating on this shoulder and stuff like that, because it will kind of be carrying that weight.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So with the non-weight bearing precautions, just to reiterate again, is you can't put weight on it. Okay. So we can't really, what we don't even want to do is when you're standing up, we don't even really want your foot touching the ground.
Okay.
So we're going to hover the foot above the ground when you stand up. Okay. And as far as your arms, like you don't want to like do any of this. Okay. All right. Any questions so far?
Well, I have a lot of questions, but you keep telling me maybe you'll answer some of them.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. So I've told you your diagnoses and everything that's going on. I told you some of the precautions. And then as far as with the shoulder sling goes, we're not going to be raising your arm outward, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like this.
makes sense.
We're just going to keep it here.
Yep.
You can kind of rotate your lower part of your arm and move your wrist all you want,
Oh, that's good.
and we can bend to reach, your face and stuff. And it might help to kind of bend forward towards that.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as treatment ideas, also you're in an acute setting.
Okay.
And you'll be here for the next 5 to 6 days.
Okay.
So we have some time for you to just rest and
Work
on very simple tasks.
Okay.
Like simple hygiene, like washing your face with a rag or brushing your teeth or blowing your nose,
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And so we can work on that in the next treatment, or even doing stand pivot. I understand that, like doing, standing up non-weight bearing, and then we can pivot for you to sit on that bedside commode.
Okay.
And I'll assist you with that, but we'll get you to being more independent in it. If that makes sense.
Yes, because my biggest concerns are going to be, just being able to be clean and be able to eat some. At first, just having those basic things taken care of until I try to figure out what's happened to me. So eating, cleaning, and of course going to the bathroom.
Yeah, well that's yeah, and I think those are great goals. So so what I hear you saying is that at least in this hospital setting, you want to work on like some hygiene, some self-feeding, so that you don't have to ask everybody to feed you.
Right.
And also to be able to go to the bathroom and just get up and go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, cool. So which one of those three would you want to work on maybe in our next treatment?
I think the most important one is going to be toileting.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah.
Because that's the most embarrassing one.
Yeah.
So let's get that one taken care of first. And then we'll go to probably eating.
Okay.
I'll think about that. Maybe eating and then, of course, cleaning.
Okay.
But maybe it'd be cleaning and toileting are kind of the same thing in my mind. So maybe those two together and then eating.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as far as our next treatment session then, let's focus on toileting.
Okay.
And getting you to a more independent level with toileting. And what that's going to look like, again, is like we're going to work on you practicing those non-weight bearing precautions, so not putting any pressure on your leg. And I'll have a gait belt around you, which is just a belt for you so that I can kind of hold on to it, and we're going to slowly pivot together.
Okay.
And then we'll squat onto
because I was like, I don't need to be trying that if I'm going to fall over.
No,
So.
You'll have me, and right now you're at what's called mod assist. So, and it's just, and we're going to try to get you to min assist.
Okay.
So I'll still be assisting and still helping you lift up and following non-weight bearing precautions with your arms and your legs.
Okay.
but it's going to be a next level of independence.
Okay.
That sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's really good.